It's as timeless as the lighthouses of the Great Lakes, this friendship between Judy Kimball of Clinton Township, Michigan, and Ilona Stroop of Copley, Ohio. Here as children vacationing with their parents in the Presque Isle County is where their friendship began, and here is where they return each summer. Still as friends, but now as business partners of a small cottage industry called Presque Isle Needleworks. A business inspired by their summer surroundings, especially those magnificent Great Lakes lighthouses, two of which are just down the road. Judy, an occupational therapist in the Macomb Intermediate School District, and Ilona, a fourth grade teacher in Copley, Ohio, get together each summer by themselves on the shores of a Grand Lake just a bit inland from Lake Huron to work with their needlepoint kit business that has dramatically grown since they began in 1983. We met with Judy and Ilona as they returned to the family cottage for their yearly summer retreat and business operations, where they began to tell us of their business beginnings by first telling the story of how their lifelong friendship began.
We love this story. When we were about 12 or 13, we were walking down Grand Lake Road, and Ilona came up and stayed with another gal and her family, and I usually would have a cousin or a girlfriend up with me. We were walking down to get ice cream, and they were walking back from already having gotten ice cream, and the night before there was a teenage dance at the tennis courts. And so we, you know, when you're up north, you talk to everybody.
Well, certainly.
And so we said hi, and they said hi, and we said, did you girls go to the dance last night? And they said, yes. And I said, my mother wouldn't let us go. So anyway, we said, well, was it fun? And she said, well, the boys were on one side and the girls were on the other, so we didn't miss anything. And since then, we've been friends and kept in contact. And
spend your vacations, you come up here, and so what led into this cross-stitching of these lighthouses? With the Lighthouse Festival coming up very shortly, it's really quite an interesting story. And so, Ilona, go ahead and explain to the folks out there how this all got started.
Well, we were really concerned about the tower. It was in a state of disrepair, and some of the bricks had come loose, and we like to run around in the woods, so we were looking through the woods and what they considered a dump, where they would put the, you know, the stuff from the lighthouse. So we found a brick, and we said, oh, here's an idea. Maybe we could needlepoint a doorstop and kind of commemorate the lighthouse in that way. Well, then it got kind of, well, maybe that's not a real good idea. What's a little more exciting? It just kind of, in talking, we led this idea of, why don't we cross-stitch a lighthouse? And then the idea of, well, maybe we could cross-stitch, or we could prepare these, you know, to sell in a kit form. I mean, it just evolved little by little. We went back up that day and sat there and tried to design a cross-stitch of the lighthouse sitting right in front of it. Of course, the first one wasn't very good, but we kept working at it, and that was in '83. And then by the summer of '84, we had packaged 100 kits. And our first summer, we sold half of those. So we were very excited.
But what was it that drawed you to the lighthouse? What was the fascination, or what really drawed you to it? To put them together?
Yeah, just being in this area.
So climbing up the lighthouses?
oh, absolutely.
That was our ride every night. You would go to see the lighthouses. It's what makes it, one of the things that makes the area so unique, that there are 2 lighthouses here. And if you come here, you just love the lighthouses.
Oh, well, what's the message? What is the message that it has to you? Is there a message that you try to convey through your needleworks, through your cross-stitching?
Just the love of the lighthouses, I think.
And the preservation. You know, we try to design the lighthouses as accurately as possible. And it's part of our history, and we think it's real important to preserve that.
And how many different lights have you, cross-stitch or designs do you have?
23.
23?
And growing. We always have plans for new ones, and we usually do that part in the winter, do the designing and get them packaged ready. Obviously, it's, you know, a more summer kind of thing at the tourist places where we sell them. And so we try to get them all ready and have lots of stock.
Well, all of our lights are Michigan except for 2. We have Marblehead and Toledo in Ohio. But the lighthouses in Michigan are a little more significant to the people.
Because there's so many, well, Great Lakes all around us.
We're surrounded by lots.
What is the most popular? Is there a more popular one than the others? Or?
I think because we started here, I know we always always make more of the 2 Presque Isles, which, you know, because we have the harbor and they're sold up at the Portage store and they're sold at the Lighthouse.
So when you 2 ladies decided to go further with this venture, what was the first step?
Oh, gee. I think the first thing we did was go up to Judy's garage, and her grandmother did a lot of needlework. We always did. That was the other part of this business. Okay. We always were sitting around the cottage crocheting or knitting or stitching something. And of course her grandmother, you know, was quite a needlework artist, so we were sure she had some floss in the garage. And I think the first thing we did was go through Grandma's floss and say, oh, we could use this color, we could use this color. And so we got some floss together, and I guess we bought our fabric. We always do samples. I usually, if I designed it, I stitch it, and I would give it to Judy, and she would stitch it. We do try to keep the kits simple, so that someone even who doesn't know how to cross-stitch doll, we could even teach you.
Oh, you hear that? Gonna teach, oh, I could learn this?
It's so easy to do. So we wanted to keep it something simple that if you're at the cottage and it's raining or you're bored, which I can't imagine, you could pick this up and have something to do in the evenings in front of the fire, and maybe have a finished product to take home that could be a souvenir from the area.
We've tried to keep the designs as simple, so that the lighthouse is the main thing, not just a little, like a tree or a little cloud, but mainly focus on just the lighthouse, not a whole lot of grass and background kinds of things.
That would take away from what you're trying.
And occasionally, you know, if there's a tree that we don't like where it is, we kind of just move it a little bit, you know, but that's
a little artistic license.
Right. Well, this right here is the way the kit comes, right?
Right.
And anybody that sees these, well, you'll know exactly what where they come from. Right here at beautiful Presque Isle, up here at Grand Lake.
And it's everything you need.
Yeah.
You really don't even need a pair of scissors if you don't have them with you, because we cut the floss 18 inches long, so you can pick it up and start stitching.
Put it together.
Right.
And just so they're able to read and use their fingers, well, they're all right. Okay.
And they're distinctive to our kits because of the blue fabric. We consciously chose that. Right.
What do we got here?
Well, after Alona and I had been doing the cross-stitch kits for a number of years, different people that were cross-stitchers don't really like to buy kits. They want to just buy the patterns. And can't you ladies do a book? Well, gosh, you know, that's a little bit more entailed. We kept saying, yes, we're going to. That's on, you know, one of our future plans. So finally, last June, we came out with our first pattern book.
Oh, my.
And that's when we really got into the computer thing, too, because we wanted the patterns, again, to be as neat and easy to read and as big as possible.
Right.
So the actual patterns, our computer-generated patterns, are much bigger than your finished product, so it's real easy on the eyes.
Yes.
And anyway, our first pattern book has 6 of the northern Lake Huron patterns: Taos, Sturgeon Point, Old Presque Isle, New Presque Isle, 40 Mile Point, and Middle Island.
And growing.
And growing.
Who knows, it might be a volume number 2.
Oh, we have plans. Yes. We have plans.
Well, that's neat. I'll tell you what you ladies are doing are really doing something that, well, you found a niche. I haven't seen it nowhere else. And and it's nice to have them part of Michigan Magazine. Where could a person find this?
Okay, we don't usually do craft shows, only because it's kind of time-consuming and that Alona lives far, and so we prefer to sell in shops. Our kits, we sell like at a historical society, at a lighthouse, if you know they're interested.
You both do needlework. One does more of the marketing than the other. One lays out the patterns. Fill us in.
It started out, I was doing most of the designing, and Judy did the contacts at the business end. Judy took on some designing, and I can't do as much marketing from Ohio, but you know, I've tried to support that. But I don't know, probably mostly Judy does the business angle, and I might do, you know, the artistic angle of it.
What has been the most rewarding? I mean, other than the compensation, I mean, what does it do for you?
Bringing us together and having fun doing it and coming up here to do it.
It's like we're kids again. I mean, she can come up without her family, and then we can do a little business, and we can go on hikes and, you know, do that, and then we can go see a new lighthouse that we haven't been to yet and get our photographs. And
Meeting people?
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing that I always thought it would be really neat to go in somebody's house that you didn't know and see one of your things hanging on the wall. And we have a home tour up here on the Grand Lake Association, and so I'm part of that, and you know, I help out. Well, and of course I always go to it. And I went in a house, and there was my Presque Isle Lighthouse hanging on the wall, and I didn't know these people, and I was like so excited.
We went to the Rogers City Courthouse, and I was there in the office at the courthouse, or some of our lighthouses. So we were real excited.
I'll tell you, Judy and Ilona, it has certainly been a pleasure for this guy to come up here and to talk and to meet with you folks and to find out more about cross-stitching, and in particular the Presque Isle Needleworks, what you're doing here with the lights, and that is also helping the preservation and restoration of these lights around the Great Lakes and throughout the United States. And I'd like to say at this time, thank you so much for being part of Michigan Magazine, and we wish you continued success.
Thanks, Del.
Thanks, Judy.
Del, we'd like to give you something for your Michigan Magazine Museum. It's the old Presque Isle Lighthouse stitched by Judy. We'd like you to have that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I accept this on behalf of Barry Stutzman, and this will probably be displayed in our museum.